This is Second Chance Vinyl, where I restore my old record collection after being subjected to years of dust, grit, and mold due to poor storage conditions. Today I have an absolute gem, Abbey Road by the Beatles. Known for arguably the most iconic record cover in history, Abbey Road was the last album recorded by the Beatles, although Let It Be was released a year later. The album cover looks to be in pretty good shape. The next step is to try and find some identification markings like the catalogue number and see if we can work out how old this record in particular is. And then, of course, we're going to clean it and play it and see if she still sounds good. Now, these older records really like to make you work for their history. The first thing I do is I look for the catalogue number, which we can see here on the label starting with PCSO. The first effort I found is that it was actually a record, and that was it. I then found an entry for a 1998 record of the album with that number, but I can tell that the vinyl looks to be of an earlier style, so I continued to look further and I found this identification code here of YEX749 on the label. And this code, in combination with the catalogue number, tells me that this record was released in November of 1969, making this record 52 years old. Time to give this record a clean. First thing I do notice when I look inside is that this record doesn't actually have an inner sleeve, which means that it hasn't had an inner sleeve for at least 20 years, which is not ideal. On first spec, it looks pretty good. It does have all the things I expected, being dirt, dust, and mold, but it doesn't look to have any concerning scratches. But on closer inspection, the scratches do have me worried, but we won't know to what extent they'll affect the sound until we play the record at the end. The first thing I do is wipe down the record labels with a slightly damp microfiber cloth. I find older record labels absorb moisture a lot faster, so I immediately dry the label with a dry cloth. My favourite toy is this label clamp that protects the labels when washing the record. If you're looking for one, there's a link in the description. I use a simple mix of dishwashing liquid and water to make a cleaning solution. I then use a baby's hairbrush for the first stage of scrubbing. The bristles are super soft and won't damage the record in any way, even if you scrub across the grooves. Rinse off as much dirt and grit before scrubbing to make sure that they don't get caught in the bristles. The second stage of scrubbing is done with a super fine bristled toothbrush. The fine bristles get deep into the grooves for a really thorough clean. Notice that with this super fine toothbrush that it actually easily follows the curve of the grooves in the record, and that tells me we really are penetrating deep into the grooves. I use a super soft microfiber cloth to dry the record. For the final stage of drying, I use a hairdryer. This dries the record thoroughly and it's instant, which means you can play the record immediately afterwards. Obviously, the tip here is to keep the dryer to a low heat setting and keep the dry moving at all times. Now, this record hasn't had an inner sleeve now for about 25 years, so we'll give it a nice new blanket and see if we can keep it looking good for another 52 years. I use a slightly damp microfiber cloth to give the outside cover a bit of a clean, and I dry it very quickly afterwards with a dry microfiber cloth just to make sure it doesn't absorb too much moisture and damage the cardboard further. Cardboard cover is starting to peel away from itself, so I'll give the inside cover a quick clean with a damp cloth and repair the cover so it doesn't get any worse. I'm really disappointed. I'm gutted. When I first saw Abbey Road in my collection, my first thought was clean it, restore it, play it, love it, own it, all that sort of stuff. But as you just heard, it's not really the best playable record. It's got a lot of crackling, really pronounced crackling all the way through both side A and B. And as you heard, the song I've Got You has a skip right in the middle of it. So a disappointment. However, there is a bit of a twist to this story. This is also Abbey Road. This is also a 1969 copy of the record Abbey Road. Now, I've had a good look around to try and work out why these are different. Now, I found some information, and I think I could be wrong, but this has got a darker reddish hue to the record cover. It's also got a high gloss finish to it. But from what I'm reading into it, this potentially could be what they refer to as the bloodstained copy, which is what they first released. And then what you saw me just clean and restore is the corrected version that was mass released and mass produced. Now, other information I've read suggests that there is actually a bloodstain between John and Ringo, and that's what they referred to as a bloodstained copy. I don't know. I can't get a real hold on the correct information here. So if there is anybody who knows more about this, I would love to hear from you. I'm dying to know. But if I compare the two, you can see that this one's lighter and it's got a matte finish to it. And also the album cover itself is slightly larger than the glossy version. So if anybody knows anything, reach out. I'm dying to know. I have to know. But look, I do record it. Of course, I clean and restore it, and I'm about to play that for you. I don't actually show the cleaning process. This video will go on for a long, long time if that was the case. But stick around, have a listen to that, and when done, I'll come back and we'll have another chat. So this is what I was talking about. There is a difference in the album cover size. The glossy version is smaller, and you can certainly see that there's a difference in the color and the tone. One's darker and one is lighter. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not going to share the entire restoration process of this record because this video will go on until Tuesday. But the one thing I did want to show you that was different, that this one actually does have an inner sleeve cover. It was too dirty, too gritty, and too far gone and wrinkly. It had to go. Bosh. Gone. Now, something else I've noticed is that the font on record 1 is in italics and the font on record 2 is just regular. And now a quick before and after. Remembering these records were poorly stored for over 20 years, what you're seeing there is a combination of dirt, grit, and those larger spots are mold. And as you can see, they've really come up well with the clean. All dirt, grit and mold is gone. However, we are still seeing some scratches, and the big test is playing it and seeing how badly they affect the sound quality. Wow, what a great copy of Abbey Road that turned out to be. Certainly worth the effort of cleaning that one as well. Look, there are some imperfections, there is some slight crackling, but this is a 52-year-old record, mind you, and I think the condition is fantastic. I think it sounds great, and I'm certainly going to collect this, recollect it, and have it in my collection, and I'm certainly going to be playing it again. Look, if you liked what you saw, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, and leave a comment. And if anybody does have any information on the difference between the two records, I would very much love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next one.